What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about teen love. And this is something that a lot of guys talk about. I see this often in my comment section. A lot of guys often email me as well, asking me to share my thoughts on the idea of teenage love. Now, I'll just say right off the bat, I didn't have teenage love. I didn't really have that when I was a teen. And I believe this kind of gives me the ability to speak deeper into the aspect of teenage love. Now, I know there are studies that suggest that, teenage love is important, but these studies also discuss how many of them are also inconclusive. A lot of these studies point to deeper facts than just teenage love, and we're going to talk about those in this video. But many people say that teenage love is important because you aren't required to have much as a teen. They're like, oh, you don't need to have a career or money or whatever. If a girl likes you as a teenager, she likes you more than likely for you. That's not true. It's still something is still required as a teen, and that thing that is required is looks, your face, your looks. If you were, or if you are an attractive guy at high school, or some girls think you're cute or whatever have you, you're getting noticed by girls and you're attractive, you will get noticed. And teen girls, when they find a guy attractive in their high school or whatever, they will let you know. They will find a way. A lot of women would, back in the day, they would leave notes. You'll get like a random note. I didn't get this, but I would see other dudes get like a random ass note from some random girl talking about how she has a crush on him, and he would write a letter back, and then they would kind of get together or whatever, right? Or women would tell a friend of a friend to tell this guy to go up to this guy and tell him she thinks he's attractive or cute. So women will find a way. And even in high school, and this goes throughout all life, it just doesn't change. It's the same principles at play, but a lot of people like to kind of romanticize the idea of teenage love. Like I said, women, well, these days, I guess they'll write you on Snapchat or something, but they're the same way older women will find, when a woman finds you attractive as an adult, she will find a way to make it happen, to get at you, is the same exact way teen love works. So if you weren't getting teen love, more than likely you just weren't attractive enough. Unfortunately, you just weren't that guy. Maybe and see, here's the thing, maybe you weren't ugly, but your looks weren't enough to have women crushing on you. So maybe you could try to play sports. A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to become the star athlete of the football team, and try to get status. And that works too. But again, it takes us back to the point of, is it really genuine? So, it kind of all circles back when you really, really think about it. A lot of teenage women, they seek out teenage guys who they find attractive, the same way adults seek out not teenage, but same way adults seek out males who they view as desirable. See, a woman can never truly love you for what you have. They could pretend to, but at the core, there's no real difference, though. There's no real difference between teen love and adult love. The only difference is that, yes, it is, when you're younger, everything feels new. Everything is exciting, everything's new. But that can be said about everything in life. As you get older, the novelty in many things starts to wear off. But that's the thing when it comes to teenage love. It feels more exciting. And, if women aren't really lusting over you, then it's kind of GG, my guy. If you don't have women who are lusting over you and really desiring you, you're going to struggle, man. You're always going to be fighting. You're always going to be finding yourself fighting an uphill battle when it comes to dating, especially as standards rise, as hypergamy, all this stuff happens. It's GG, my guy. Really, it really is, but a lot of guys talk about, just be first. A lot of this teen love theory also ties into the just be first theory, but the just be first theory is kind of outdated, especially when it comes to teen love. I do believe there are variations of just be first. Like, if you're just like in a girl's social circle and she's ready to kind of settle down and you're there, then it's kind of like timing, right? And you find yourself in a relationship, right? But again, we then circle back to genuine. Is it really genuine? I don't know. Nobody knows. the only person who knows is that person. So the rest is just kind of speculating. But the point is that the whole just be first thing, women are, younger women are on TikTok. They're on Instagram. They're chasing TikTok influencers. Like, we're seeing this stuff happen younger and younger, that the innocence is fading very quickly. A lot of guys want to talk about, oh, when teen love is innocence. That stuff, that shit is kind of dead, bro. These teenage girls are up to some crazy shit, way, even when I was in high school, and like, I was in high school between 2009 and 2012. That was like when I was in high school. Even then, girls were up to like crazy shit in high school. They were doing all types of sexual stuff, getting trains ran on them, like crazy shit, like a lot. So a lot of the innocence is already lost. There is no innocence. And I will say that, in high school, a lot of times women are limited, right? They're typically limited by their parents. They're in high school, their neighborhood. So these women are typically dating. They haven't even realized the value they have yet until like college. When a woman gets on dating apps, when she starts to really get and grow into her womanhood, this is when women really start to realize the power they have, and you know, a lot of these women in high school and college, it is true that, if you're like a mid-tier normie or a normie, you do have a better chance just based off of scarcity alone, because younger girls, their options are limited, so of course they're going to date the mid-tier normies, the oofy doofies in their neighborhoods. And of course you have the typical jocks who a lot of women lust over. But a lot of times when these girls venture out into the real world and they go to college, university, or they on dating apps, this is when they tend to really truly realize how much power they have. And this is where the dynamic starts to change. So I do understand why men talk about the teenage love aspects. Like, yeah, it is, there is some truth to the fact that if you weren't desired in your teenage years, that is a sign that you're set up to probably struggle when it comes to dating, but sometimes it's timing, it's location. There's a lot of things at play, but I do understand the aspect of the whole, women as a teen, they will be fine dating the oofy doofy next door, and they'll feel like, oh, I love him. He's my first love. So I understand that aspect, but it still doesn't disprove the fact that once that woman actually grows up a little bit, she'll realize, okay, I have way better options than this doofy next door. So either way, it's a dead end. It still circles back again to the genuineness of it. Just because a woman, proximity, or just because of location or scarcity, that doesn't change the fact that when a woman realizes her power, she's going to, we see this all the time where a guy, he's dating this girl in high school. And as soon as the girl goes off to college, the relationship is over. He's like, she won't answer her phone. She won't do this. Oh, she just broke up with me. She said that she doesn't want to do long distance. It's because she's in college now. She's seeing the frat boys, the athletes, and she realized how much power she has. So even if you do have teen love, if you're not truly desired, it's still a dead end either way. Here's the truth though, here's the most important part. Now listen up to this part, guys. The most important aspect of teenage love is not actually the teenage love itself, but the fact that the lack of having teenage romance or love can oftentimes point at a deeper issue. And the deeper issue is typically a lack of proper socialization and milestones during important development years. If you have not had any type of romance, teenage love, unless you're an outlier, like I was kind of an outlier because I played sports. So I did get socialization. Like I did get, a little bit of just that high school kind of camaraderie. So I did have that. So I wasn't a total just like, go home and game all day. A lot of guys, they, after school, they go straight home and game. They don't go to the football games. They don't play sports. They literally don't do any extracurriculars. So typically a guy who hasn't had any type of teenage romance at all, these guys typically points at a deeper issue, and that's a lack of proper socialization. And, I think it's perfectly okay if you have not had teenage love, as long as you have developed in other aspects of your social life, especially in youth. After the age of 25, your social life and social life after the age of 25 it decreases exponentially year by year. The most important at time to have socialization and to be properly developed is between 15 to 25, your actual youth. Why? Because that's when it's going to benefit you the most. See, after the age of 25, typically you will have already developed experience in your career. Your connections, yeah, they still matter to an extent, but not as much as the early days. Getting that first job is a nightmare, but if you have connections, then that could make it easier. But as you get more experience, you get jobs based off experience. You don't have to rely on social skills or network. You can literally just rely on your experience, just being a seasoned person in your career path. So in your youth, though, because even after 25, the time spent with friends drastically decreases because people move on with life. People move on with their careers. People move on into relationships, and people don't want to hang out all the time. People grow up. They don't care about that social validation anymore that was important during youth. But again, like I said, later on in life, past the age of 25, your social life becomes less important than it was in your youth. It's still important to a degree, don't get me wrong, but you could easily do well even if you drop off the face of the earth, but you have your experience in your career. You probably have some connections from your youth, from your college days. So a lot of the foundation has already been built. And that's what's so important about this is that the foundation, during your youth is when the foundation is built. So if you're missing out on a lot of life as a youth, you are going to be underdeveloped. And that's really what teenage love actually points at for most people. Now, again, like I said, you do have outliers who, even though they didn't have teen love, they still got proper social connections, socializing in high school, whatever. Because remember, that lays the foundation. A lot of guys talk about, oh, I'm 25, I don't have social skills. And it's like, dude, if you're 25 and you don't have social skills, you are fuck up. I'm sorry, but you're fucked. It's almost GG for you, bro. If you're 25 and you can't just like have basic social etiquette, like social shit, bro, it's GG, my guy. Because this is shit you learn in high school, at the football games, the sports, the extracurriculars. Like you learn this shit as a kid. So if you are 25 and you literally have social issues, that points at a deeper issue. And I can almost guess you probably didn't have teenage love either. I can almost guess that those things kind of go hand in hand typically. And this is what a lot of that research, a lot of the studies actually point at this fact. The biggest aspect is missing out on those socialization milestones. If you have a group of friends in high school, if you played sports, if you had a little bit of status, maybe you were a sixth string player or a sixth man on the basketball team. And even though you didn't really get laid or have a lot of success with dating, that still gave you the validation, the sense of self-worth, the self-esteem that is important in your teen years. After 25, all that shit kind of doesn't really matter, but because it should have already been developed. If you're 25, if you're 28 trying to go back and develop all these things, dude, it's almost done. It's almost a wrap. It's almost set in place. After 25, making meaningful change after the age of 25 is kind of a GG, my guy. I'm talking about meaningful change. Like, yeah, you can make money, but I'm talking about changing the core of really who you are. It's meaningful change after 25 is very, very, it's damn near impossible. Yes, there are examples of people who've done it, but most people, it's GG usually, So most of these studies actually point to the fact that adolescent romance and relationships are a predictor of psychological well-being. Again, because it goes back to what I said, the lack of adolescent romance typically points at deeper issues. So yeah, if you've missed out on these things, proper socialization, proper groups, just being engaged, in the world as a youth, then you're probably not going to psychologically develop well. You're, having a positive link with positive interpersonal relationships, and just developing. And this is because the deeper fact is that youth is when many of the foundations are laid for your later life. You shouldn't be 30 years old trying to regain your youth. The shit you should have learned in youth and done in youth, it's too late, my guy. It's GG. So, socialization is incredibly important for kids and teens. And after a certain age, romance socialization is the most important between 15 and 25. If a person has reached young adulthood without dating and they're still a virgin by the time they reach young adulthood, then that points at the fact that they probably missed out on important opportunities, important experiences. While a virginity, a lack of experience is pretty common with teenage and young adults, by the time many of you reach your mid 20s, if you're still in that same situation, this points at a deeper issue. Because see, a lot of people miss out on teen love. A lot of people, there's tons of, I'm an example. I've still made something of myself. So, but I'm not saying I'm the norm. I might be an exception, and that might be true. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of people who miss out on, who don't technically have teen love, but they still have a successful social life in youth, which is the most important. After youth, social life is not that important after your youth is over. But with that being said, people who miss out on these things, if you're still in this same boat by like 25, it's kind of GG. There's something wrong. There's something else going on, and it could be your looks. It could be maybe you just are a truly undesirable male. If you can't get one female, it's GG, my guy. If you can't get one woman by the age of 25, and there's no, like, maybe you're not severely autistic or whatever, you might just be a guy who's not meant to reproduce. I know that sounds fucked up, but if you can't get one damn woman, like any woman by the age of 25, and you're still a virgin, it might be GG for you, for real. And parents, it's important to encourage kids to have friends their age in the teenage years. A lot of these experiences are required for growth, learning, and self-discovery. Whether it's academics, friendships, romance, whatever it is in teenage years, etc. These experiences and adolescence and young adulthood are important, and missing them again decreases quality of life. So this is what teenage love really points at. This is the real issue that teenage love points at, not the aspect of, oh, I missed out on a woman really loving me. No, that's not really true. You didn't really miss out on that, but it might point at the fact that you missed out on a lot of other things. Your parents play a role too. If your parents aren't really supporting you, if you have shitty parents or bad parents who aren't really giving the kid the tool to thrive and actually putting their kid in situations where they can thrive, then it's partly on the parents too. It's not always, you're not to blame for some of this stuff. A lot of this could be on your parents. It's going to be exponentially harder if you don't have the support of your parents. Like, I didn't have support of my parents. And guess what? My life has been 10x harder than other people who have had the support of their parents. So, teen love is important for teens, but if you're 28, bro, and you're still obsessing over high school drama, then you're kind of a sad son of a bitch. I'm just gonna be honest. The teen phase, that's long been gone. Oh, I missed out on true love. No, you have not, and I just explained in this video why you have not. But I just wanted to talk about this because a lot of people have this whole idea of teenage love, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. So if you're a guy and you're over the age of 25, then it's time to move on with life. Life doesn't stop. Some of you guys, a lot of guys have fallen out of time. They've been left behind. A lot of times on the internet, you get a group of people who've been left behind while everybody else is moving on, etc. You have people who are just been left behind. And some people are just going to be left behind. They're going to be losers in life. There are going to be a group of people who just lose in life. If you're 25 plus and you're still worried about teenage love, and, I had a coaching call, not a coaching call, but I had a guy who asked to, talk to me the other day. So I said, hey, let's have a call. So I had a call with this guy, and this dude, basically he's 27, I believe. And I'm not gonna put too much of his information out there, but the guy's 27 years old, and he doesn't have a pot to piss in. He has no skills, no real skills. I think he knows how to drive a forklift or something at the warehouse, which is fine, right? But here's the thing: at plus 27, bro, your life is going to get exponentially harder if you don't have any real skill sets. If you're 27, 25 plus, bro, talking about teenage love, and you have no real skills, you have no education, you have nothing. You think it's bad now, dude, and then when you hit your 30s and you're in this situation, you're fucked. it's going to get exponentially worse for you. It really is, GG, when you hit 30s, and not the fact that you struggle with dating and you're undesired, but the fact that you don't have shit to show for all that time. You don't even have a career to show for it. That's the brutal aspect of it. You can't even live a decent fucking life. You can't even take a vacation. You can't even travel because you don't have money. You're strapped for cash and you're 30 plus years old. Then it really is, GG. But again and again, a lot of people say, "Oh, you can make a comeback, bro." But the comeback stories are highly overrated. Most people never come back after 25 years old. If you haven't really made certain strides in your life, it's kind of GG, or maybe you are one of the lucky ones. I'm not saying that some people might not be the exception, but generally, it's kind of GG. But anyway, that is it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one.